Hello! Welcome to my channel. This is going to be a bit of a different video. I tried to film this before and it went a bit wrong. So I've got my iPad here. So I was a bit all over the place with my first video. So I'm going to try and do this again. So Sarah Everard. If you haven't heard of that name, she was... Seriously, if you haven't heard of this name, you've been living under a rock for the past few days. She was abducted and killed by a police officer, and it has struck a chord with pretty much every woman in the UK, because she was walking home, and every girl is told when they're walking out, bearing in mind it was 9:30 at night, it wasn't even like that late, for crying out loud, and that doesn't matter. Women should be able to walk home safe regardless of the time of day. The reason it has struck a chord, I believe, with a lot of women is because, one, she was murdered by a police officer who is meant to protect us and completely abused his power instead of protecting us. And secondly, everything she did was what women are told to do, is wear bright clothing, be on the phone, stay on lit roads, and she still was killed. This is every woman's worst nightmare, really, and it's just ridiculous at this point. Like it's just I can't even fathom it at this point. Can we also not forget another young girl who was we presumed was killed because it's very unclear. The police are being a bit iffy about it. We don't know why. She was a young black girl named Blessing. I don't know how to say her last name and I'm really, really sorry. It's like Olusegun. I'll put it here so you can, and I'll leave it if I can find an article about her, because I just saw it on Instagram basically about this, and I'm only just hearing about it. She was walking along the beach at 1 a.m. She was on the phone with her boyfriend, I think another friend. There was CCTV footage of her walking on the beach, but then nothing after, which I just find a bit suspicious. And her body was found on the beach, and yet this is the first time I'm hearing about it, which is incredibly sad. So Sarah Everard and Blessing's family, I'm terribly sorry. I literally can't even put into words how sorry I am. I don't even know what to say to that, because it's just heartbreaking isn't even the word, I don't think, at the moment. On average, a woman is killed by a man every 3 days. Let that just sink in. Every 3 days. Does that not resonate with anybody? Every 3 days. The 97% controversial statistic that's been going around, which was a survey that was taken from ages 18 to 24 year old women, which is a small margin if you really think about it, and it's already up to 97%. Now if you didn't have an age limit, well, if you had an age limit from, like, I don't know, 12 to my grandma's age, which is probably like 70, it'd probably be like 100%. I'd probably guarantee it to be 100% of women to be sexually assaulted, abused, harassed by men. And on the flip side, if you actually asked men how many times have you been assaulted by a man, I think it'd be very high as well. So what's annoyed me is the fact that the 97% isn't being taken seriously at all. There's no, I mean, not at all. A lot of people are taking it seriously, but it's the fact that a lot of men have now decided to make it about themselves and victimizing themselves and basically saying hashtag not all men, which is incredibly insulting, because when it comes to like men's mental health awareness month or some whatever, women are very supportive of that. And I made a point of saying on my Instagram stories recently, saying that when it comes to when I see, and all my other girlfriends see, men's mental health posts and how men's suicide rates are higher than women's, we look at that and we go, wow, of course it is, because men, we sympathise with it, and we sit there and we go, oh, that's probably right, because women are told that we can express our feelings and we can talk about our feelings when men are not. But you don't see us creating a hashtag being like, hashtag women commit suicide too. Yeah, we know it's high for women as well, but it's a lot higher for men. Okay? Do you not understand that? For the hashtag not all men, I know this. When I say men, I'm not talking about every single man. I'm talking about the majority of men who think it's okay to sexually harass, assault, stalk, pinch someone's bum in a club. Like, I'm talking about people who rape, people who men who do this. We're talking about them. We're not talking about men who don't do it. We know that you don't do it, and if you we don't know you don't do it, but we just have to kind of hope and pray that you don't do it. And if you don't do it and you're telling us you don't do it, well done. You're not going to get a star or an award, because you know what that is. That's respecting another human being, and that's what you should be doing anyway. When I'm next to a man I find attractive, do you know how easy it is for me not to assault him or sexually harass him? It's very freaking easy. I'm not sitting here and saying that women don't assault men, don't harass men, don't sexually abuse men, because women can do that. But it just so happens that it's the majority of men that do it. Okay? So please get that in your head. I'm going to make a point as well, saying, when we say we're scared to walk home at night, and then men are saying, oh, but yeah, but we're scared to walk home at night as well. I'm like, yeah, but you're scared to walk home at night, not because of women, but because of other men. So your point is invalid. Although it's quite valid, actually, considering you're actually agreeing with us whether you think about it or not. Also, we're not just saying about women. I'm a 23-year-old woman, okay, so I've had my fair share of experiences, which I will talk about in a sec. It's not just young women, it's young girls that have been raped and molested. It's children. It's elderly women. It's men that have been sexually abused by men. I really don't understand why this is so hard to grasp. Yet again, and I don't understand why I have to keep saying this, we're not talking about every single man on this planet. We know that. We know that it's not every single man on this planet, because if it was so, women would be massacred. Women would stop reproducing, okay? We'd literally be like, we're not going anywhere near a man. No. Instead, we have to do a fun little guessing game to see whether a man will assault us or not, which is super fun. Also, I went on the Femicide census to see some results from a 10-year, I think it was analysis, 10-year information that they gathered over 10 years. And basically I'm just going to read some off. On average, a woman is killed, like I said, by a man every 3 days. And then it says 62% of all women killed by men, so that's 888 out of 1,425, were killed by a current or former partner. At least 34% of women killed had children under ages of 18 years of age. History of abuse was known in 59% of 1,042 femicides committed by current or former partners or other male relatives. On average, a woman is killed by a current or former partner every 4 days. If that does not shock you, then I don't even know. Of the 888 women killed by partners or former partners at least, so that's 378, 378, so that's 43%, were known to have separated or taken steps to separate from the predator. Of the cases where women had separated or made attempts to separate, 89% were killed within the first year. 38% were killed within the first month of separation. 5% were killed 3 or more years after separation. History of abuse was known in 59% of 1,042 femicides committed by current or former partners or other male relatives. Of those, a third were known to have reported the abuse to the police. 70% of killings took place either in the shared home of the victim and predator of the victim's house. 29 of the men, so 2%, had killed before. Of these, 69% had killed women. I'll let that sink in just for a sec. I'm 23 years old and I've experienced a lot in my life for a 23-year-old, and I'm going to be 24 this year. I'm just going to read off my experiences and elaborate just briefly on some of them. So I've got I had to write down my experiences, and there's probably more. Okay, so, and I feel like a lot of women are going to relate to my experiences, which is incredibly sad. I don't want anyone to relate to this. I wish no one related to this. Okay, so my first one is a guy at work tried to touch my private parts because I was on my own. I was manning the door, making sure people were coming in. So this was last year. Manning the doors, making sure people were coming in one way and exiting the other. I was at the bottom of the stairs. So I was bottom of the stairs go up, and then there's the shop. He came from behind me and was like complimenting me or whatever, saying I was beautiful, whatever. I was talking to him. He was saying inappropriate things to me. And I think many women will understand when you laugh, but it's not laughing because you find it funny. Actually, you find it quite offensive, but in order to keep yourself safe and to keep the peace, plus I was working, I was just kind of like, haha, okay, okay, right, okay, making sure just to get him to go away. But obviously when it's incredibly scary being a woman, okay? I'm petrified to have a girl when I get pregnant. I'm petrified to have a girl because I do not want her to go through this. And then he was asking me if I give sex to my boyfriend, if I had a boyfriend, where do I live? Kept trying to find out where I lived, and I was like, well, I'm not telling you where I live, hun. I don't know what you're trying to do here, but I'm not telling you where the frick I live. And then he said something and I was like, pfft. So I looked over like that. Next thing I know, his hand is snaking around my waist, around the back of me. And then he tried to touch me inappropriately down there. And I've never moved so fast in my life. My first kiss was forced because I told my boyfriend, it lasted about 5 days. I said, I was 13. I didn't want to kiss. I didn't want to hold hands. You know, when you're young, you're just like, oh, I want a boyfriend, but you're not ready for a boyfriend at that age, okay? At least I wasn't. And I was like, I don't want to kiss. I told him this. I was like, I don't want to kiss. I'm too nervous, blah, blah, blah. So I met up with him with my friend, thank goodness. We sat on a bench and she was walking her dog in front of us. And I was holding his hand and he kept moving my hand towards his crotch. And I was clearly resisting, but he just kept moving and moving his hand towards that. And I was like, oh my word, I need to leave. So I shouted to my friend. I was like, okay, we need to go now. And we stood up and he held me by my waist and he kissed me, and he kissed me twice. And then I literally went to my friend afterwards. I was like, I'm breaking up with him, I can't, blah blah blah. And then skip forward a few years, he is now currently in prison for attempted murder and rape. So if anyone says I was overreacting, absolutely freaking not. A man wolf whistled at me whilst I was walking into the carvery, when I was 12 years old. Granted, he was drunk, but I was clearly underage. And don't whistle at me anyway, because it's disgusting. I've been stalked in a club. I was travelling. I made eye contact with these two boys. Bearing in mind I'm in a relationship at this point. And they kept stalking me around the club. I was with my two girlfriends, kept stalking me around the club, and I was just like, oh my goodness, can we go into the toilets? Because obviously that's the only place they cannot come. So it was the girls' toilets and the boys. We stayed in there for about 5-10 minutes. I then was like, okay, I think it's okay to come out. I come out. Well, I let the girls go out first because I don't want to be the one out first. The minute I stepped out of the toilet, these two boys came out. They blocked me off from my friends. They put their hand up against the wall, and the boy said, "You owe me a dance." And I said, "No, I don't." And I dipped under his arms, and I've never run so fast to my friends. So that was super fun. I've been beeped at multiple times and shouted out the window, all of that. I've been grabbed by my waist or my arm whilst walking past men, paying them no mind in a club. Just walking past them, no mind, nothing. Just, by the way, making eye contact in a club with a guy is something else, because the minute I could literally just be scanning the room and make eye contact with a guy for minus of a second, and they think they have the entitlement to walk over to me and start talking to me and begging me to buy them a drink, which absolutely freaking not. No thanks. So they're only some of my experiences, and I'm pretty sure I will do another video of my other about my friends' experiences or other women's experiences with sexual abuse, assault, harassment, all of it. Can I also just touch on the 6 p.m. curfew for men? That wasn't meant to be taken literal. I took it literal, but then she did a video, the woman who stood up in Parliament and was like, I think there should be a 6 p.m. curfew for men. She didn't mean that literally. She was making a point of saying that because of some men in government were saying women should stay home to stay safe, instead of men, you need to step your game up and stop abusing and harassing women. They decided to flip it and say, well, women need to stay home. Legalise pepper spray, please. That would be great for us. Thanks. She was just making a point of saying, well, if you're going to say that, then why can't we just put a curfew for men then? She wasn't saying it literally. Obviously it's not going to pass. We don't want it to pass, because obviously then it's demonising every single man, and that's not what we're doing. All we want is men to educate themselves and actually speak up for women's rights and women's safety. That's all we want. We're not man hating. We hate the men that do these things. And you know what we hate? We hate the men that sit there and go, I'm not the problem, so therefore I don't need to get involved, which is a load of rubbish, because you do need to get involved, please. Because just because you haven't done anything, which thank you for not doing that, have a cookie. If you hear your friends speaking or saying derogatory things about a woman and their body and being really disrespectful, call them out on it. Don't be afraid to do that. Call them out on it. We want you to. We do it, so you should do it. Because if you sit there and go, lol, that's funny, you're steadily building the problem up again and again and again, and women are being pushed aside again and again and again. Like we saw at Sarah Everard's vigil, I think that's what it's called, where women were simply paying their respects, and the police came so insensitively and started dragging women to a police van and pushing them to the ground, which was so unnecessary. But yet they said it was okay for football hooligans to be roaming around the streets during coronavirus and just walk alongside them. But apparently a bunch of women, including Kate fricking Middleton, coming to pay their respects was just too much. Which is just ridiculous, and you need to get a grip. Please just talk to your friends, talk to your family. Boys, ask if you have sisters, if you have cousins who are girls, your mum, your grandparents, grandma, sorry. Talk to them. Ask them, how many times have you been harassed or sexually assaulted or anything from a man? And then ask the same question but change man to woman, and then see what the results are, because I'd love to freaking know, because I've never been sexually assaulted by a woman. And again, I'm not saying women don't do that. I'm just saying it's highly unlikely for a woman to do that as much as a man. It's so hard to word it when this is such a sensitive topic and so personal to every single woman. We're not saying that women don't do this. We're saying it's more likely for a man than a woman to do it. Okay? But I feel like there will be some people out there that will be like, but you're still saying blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I am going to say it. Majority of men sexually abuse and hurt and harm women than women harm other people. Women shouldn't have to be given tips and tricks to say stay safe. We should simply just be safe walking down the street. And it doesn't even have to be at night. It can be in the middle of the freaking day. I'm beeped in the day. Oh, another experience. I was in work in my old job. I had a guy that would constantly come in. I have to hide behind the counter, because if I was just on the shop floor, he would just talk to me all the time. He'd come in, he'd like be really flirtatious, and I'd be like, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so beautiful. This is like a 40-year-old man. At the time of working there, I was 18. And then he comes in, he gives me ice cream, which is just freaking creepy, passes me a receipt with his number on it, and then a whole thing of saying, you're so beautiful, you're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my life. Like, oh, it would amaze me if you wanted to be with somebody like me. Are you freaking serious? No, I don't want to be with a creep like you, thank you so much. I'm pretty sure he was in his like 40s, late 40s. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I have nothing more to say in this video, because I'm tired. Do you know what? I'm exhausted, mentally and physically exhausted. I feel like I'm screaming to be heard, and I feel like a lot of women are feeling like this, and it's just ridiculous. It's just pathetic that we have to shout and scream about it. It's just ridiculous. And I feel for every woman out there that has had to go through this. And I fear for young girls who will most likely go through this as well. And we need men to step in and listen to us. We just want to be listened about our safety. That's all we want. And for you to learn and you to educate everybody else. You don't need to do some grand gesture. You just need to talk about it and learn from it and actually be open-minded and stop taking it as such an insult to mankind. Like, we know, if you know you've not harmed somebody, but you know that some of your friends would most likely harm a girl, you need to talk to them about it. That's it. That's the video. I'm done. Have a good morning, afternoon, evening or night, whatever you're doing. I hope you are enjoying it, and I'm sorry that this is happening to women and myself everywhere. Goodbye.